Hello, Go Mode podcast fans and Twitch viewers out there. Welcome to Go Mode podcast Twitch channel. I am DapperWormMan. I am joined today by Maniacal, and we are going to do a little bit of a VOD review today. So we have one of our mentor tournament runners in the upcoming mentor tournament, who's submitted a VOD here for us today, and it is Casual Boots, and Maniacal and I are going to give our thoughts on what we see. How are you doing tonight, Maniacal?
I'm doing great. I'm really excited to talk about Casual Boots. TDK wants us to talk about routing, and so since there's no routing in the first 5 minutes, really, we get to talk about whatever we feel like, and I'm pretty excited about that.
Well, with Casual Boots, we can talk about dash lines and stuff like that in the opening sequence here, in the escape sequence, as we get the blue mail. Yeah. So it's going to be hopefully pretty healthy here.
Absolutely, and what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be tracking along. I'm going to throw a link to the Dunka tracker in here. I recommend anyone who's looking to get kind of a rigorous sense of what's going on and help evaluate the decisions to pull up a tracker themselves.
Yeah, and did notice, I'm getting another sword there. In this mode, particularly Casual Boots, when you get the Assured Sword, even though you don't have that sword visible when you're running, you can actually run through the bushes on the way to the Uncle drop down. So no need to stop and do a little zigzag. You can actually run right through that one. Those as well, but sometimes maybe you want to farm for bombs, but not really necessary in Casual Boots, because you're able to bonk the back there. So you don't really need bombs like you do in a non-boots standard seed.
Yeah, so what are you looking to see generally in terms of escape times for Casual Boots? Like, where are your benchmarks? Do you have benchmarks, or do you just kind of get what you get?
I know a really good Casual Boots getting out of escape is about 5:15, maybe 5:20, 5:15, or 5:10 if you're really booking it. So, if I'm down in the Zelda cell, I'm leaving Zelda cell by about 3 minutes, that's really good. So, obviously you get sometimes just a little bit more difficult, but here we've got Master Sword, so it's a little bit of a easier time there through these guard kill rooms, since Master Sword does a little bit more damage than that that Fighter Sword.
Yeah, Master Sword definitely helps speed things up, and yeah, I'm looking for, starting out, I would recommend people start to look for like 5:30 as sort of a heuristic, assuming you don't find Mirror. So as a note, if you find Mirror in the start of an escape, you can mirror out once you have Zelda, and that saves a boatload of time, roughly a minute. But otherwise, sub 5:30 is probably a good starting heuristic. 5:20 is pretty competitive, and like you were saying, if you're cutting 5:10, that's roughly what I'm looking to see when I run Cas Boots. And if you're cutting 5 minutes, you're one of like 4 people.
Oh, sub 5 would be ridiculous.
Sub 5 is reserved only for the absolute best in terms of movement.
Yeah. I mean, just like anything, you're looking to cut everywhere. Hey, let me get a little bit better on this boss fight, on this room, on this dungeon. So you don't want to say, hey, I need to get a 5-minute escape in Casual Boots my first time or my second time out. If you're above 5:30, try to get it down to 5:30. If you're then try to get down to 5:25, 5:30, 5:20. Every little bit helps. I don't always get 5:20s myself. Been racing for quite a while. I was actually a mentee in the 2020 mentor tournament. So I've been racing about 3 years now myself.
Yeah, I'll say, it's one of the nice things about it is it gives you a barometer of sort of how you're moving that day, and also as you're starting out, kind of continued improvement. It's something that's largely the same every single race, and so as you get better and better at Escape, you can start to see, more and more time that you start off saving time. Right, like if you're getting out at 5:20 as opposed to 5:30, that's your runs 10 seconds faster, every single time. So it's kind of almost, I won't say a free time save, but it's a time save you can realize every single run, kind of like practicing your Ganon's Tower climb. You're going to have to do that in every 7-7 seed.
Exactly. Saw TDK trying to get the key dash on that door on the Dark Cross. If you are lined up with where you pick up the chest, and then you just go left and don't move up or down, and then you dash and turn up, you'll get that key dash there. But that's something, save a little bit of time there. And then we get the mirror in the back.
Yo, it's the mirror. Don't mirror now. Mirroring now is bad. Mirroring earlier would have been great. But yeah, as you were saying, key dash is, if you are what's referred to as on the grid, you can get a key dash. So all the objects are multiples of 4 pixels, and Link moves 4 pixels per frame while dashing. Or Shy Guy, in this case, moves 4 pixels per frame while dashing. And so if the frame before the door, or the pixel before the door, is where your dash puts you, you actually open the door from like that pixel and can cleanly dash through. And so aligning yourself with walls, pots, chests, those things are ways to ensure that on normal terrain you get key dashes. Doesn't work in the water for other movement reasons. But we're over to the Bonk Rocks, and looks like a pretty standard open. I imagine we're gonna head over to Lost Woods and Kakariko probably.
Yeah, and I'll echo what Gilgamesh is saying in chat there. It's a pretty solid casual boots escape sequence right there.
Yeah, so some small stuff to clean up. TDK in the chat was saying, 5:30 to 6 minutes. They're targeting sub 6 right now, and nice. Didn't go down the stairs. Saw 300. So we did scout the lumberjack. So I'm checking that off of my tracker now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And how do you feel about tree pulls and bush crab here? I noticed TDK did not do the tree pull on the screen right by the Death Mountain Ascent, or do that bush crab there as we get check there, because maybe that's some money, maybe that's some bombs for going into Kakariko. I think there's some bombs anyway. But I usually do at least one tree pull in my route here, whether it's right after escape or in the Lost Woods or something like that.
Yeah, after escape, I'm always taking a tier 1 tree pull on my way up to lumberjack if I'm not skipping lumberjack, and then or the tier 2 rather, because you'll have killed enough enemies, and then depending, I might go for a tier 3 and I might go for a tier 1. But we're into Kakariko. We did find some bombs. We found enough rupees on the way, or not enough yet, but we're favored to find enough here. So I think it'll work out okay. But definitely getting those tree pulls can be a way to make things a little more consistent.
Yeah, and someone who's newer to the game might not know exactly where all the trees are, so that's pretty. There's some documents around that'll sort of show you where the tree pulls are. Keep those handy, or at least remember where the normal ones to route in are. You see a lot of runners do them. You just kind of pick it up by osmosis.
Yeah,
it's kind of watching a lot of races, or just not necessarily a race, maybe just a streamer. Their individual seed. You can pick up a lot of little tips and tricks.
Exactly. And so far, Kakariko not really given us a whole lot of sense of direction. I don't think we've had a map check yet. But we're being pretty thorough here. TDK's been pretty thorough going through. Has enough money for the bottle vendor. Ooh, that's a nice pair of items there. The book and a bottle. The bottle's nice immediately. Look, unfortunately, we've already been to Lost Woods, so we're not checking the pedestal. But you know, there's potential for getting some checks in.
Yeah, Blindside not so good, but the rest of Kakariko looking nice. And no reason to get too fancy. I think with casual boots, routing into Kakariko is very normal and very lucrative most times. So, I wouldn't get too fancy with my routing a lot of the time. So as far as the routing conversation, I know we're very early, but this is looking good so far.
Yeah, so generally a little micro thing, a little faster just because you're going to be leaving to the bottom to do the sick kid before doing the back of tavern, just because you're doubling back on your steps vertically.
Yeah, that's something I always do as well, because you can see that it's farther to the left and I'm going to be leaving this area to the right. So yeah, it's usually a good thing.
It's further left, it's vertical, like you're doubling back on movement both ways. And so just little things. That's not the large sort of macro time saves and the large routing time saves, but there is some micro benefit to that. And if you do enough good micro, you can make up for one or two bad macro decisions over the course of a run. That's how people manage to win somewhat consistently. We did get a fire rod here in the library.
Yeah, there's I'm not exactly sure who said this, but I saw once, there's not a lot of things that are going to save me 10 minutes, but I can think of 100 things that are going to save me a second here or there, and that's going to add up,
Exactly. And we got no blind race game, just $50 and a save and quit. So I'm assuming a save and quit here is going to be to Link's house, and the default route for me is probably going South Shore. Although we do have a fire source and a book, we don't have a glove yet to get over into desert, and we don't have a bow to go to Eastern.
Yeah, South Shore is our most dense location, though, and as you said, that's your default, maybe most of the time. So it's pretty good to come over here and get at least these two. I always say we're quick swapping to the mirror, getting prepared. That's great to have. Just be aware of where you're about to go, so you don't have to spend time menuing or quick swapping to that item when you're already in that room.
Yeah, we've got 400 rupees, which doesn't quite get us Zora. Zora's still out of logic. Sometimes you'll think about setting up a water walk over here in Ice Rod Cave if we're headed to the right, but looks like we're either taking just a heart piece or we're headed left. Nope, we're just taking a heart piece and heading right. Okay. So I like heading right here because we can't finish desert yet, so I like this call from TDK.
I was going to say the exact same thing. I'm going to sniff out that glove before I can commit to going to that desert area. And if it's over there, I'm just going to last locate it, and, that's fine, because at least I gave myself the opportunity to find it in a majority of the places I'm going to go that have a higher likelihood of having it.
Yeah, small point. If I know I'm 100% of the time going to go to the mini Moldorm cave here, I might consider grabbing the extra hearts in Link's house so that I'll have sword beams if I have Master Sword. Do find the glove, do decide to skip Ice Rod Cave. I still don't think we have a map check yet.
We don't, as far as I... Oh, there we go.
Okay, Green Pendant Desert, gross, and 2 crystals.
Okay, so we have a completable dungeon, and we have a dungeon we can get into and not beat, and we have a dungeon we can't get to.
We can get to Hera, just it's out of logic.
Oh, right.
But Mountain right now, it's just Hera, and we have no way over to East Mountain, which is where our leading density is.
Yeah, that is a crystal, and now we do have that fire source, so we could actually beat that if we can get through that dark room, which is one of the first things I think people should learn if they're going to be learning dark rooms is start with that old man room, or that old man ascent cave.
And we are... Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, just to go back one thing. I do remember we had Ether when we were in Mini Moldorm Cave, and that is a really quick way to get those Mini Moldorms. Ether is one of the faster medallion activations, and that's a good way to kill all those enemies in Mini Moldorm Cave.
Yeah, that was a failure of mine to not track ether, but I absolutely, ether's great for mini Moldorms. Would have been a much faster way to do that room again, just saving a little bit of time on the micro.
Yeah.
But I don't like Agina before Desert here, because we have everything we need for Desert, and it's a little faster to not have to run back out. Oh, we're going for Cactus Dash. But we noped out a Cactus Dash because it's miserable and doesn't actually exist.
Yeah, and we went a little bit too far south there to, I think right out of Agina's Cave, you can just go down a little bit and go left and go down, clockwise around that little area there. We didn't need to go that far left. I like scouting it because it's going to be faster to go a few pixels over and scout it instead of running down after exiting that left side desert exit.
Yeah. So definitely faster to end with Agina.
Oh yes.
For a number of reasons. But I think the leading discussion right now is something that chat's keyed in on that we've kind of been glossing over, which is the Ice Rod Cave skip. Do you like that here, or do you not like that?
With getting that full completion of Desert available in Mini Moldorm Cave, I would have gone right to Desert as well. I know it's a pendant, but the game gave us the book, and I think I would like to combo Ice Rod Cave later with having the Moon Pearl and maybe be able to dash, set up a water walk or fake flipper with that Moon Pearl and get into Zora area to complete everything in the Zora area as efficiently as possible. I know they're kind of on opposite sides of the screen as we get the lamp there, but a lot of runners combo Ice Rod Cave into Zora area because it is faster when you have the boots and can set up the water walk and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'll offer the counterpoint here that when you start isolating things like this in casual boots that are relatively modest cost, when it comes time to full clear later, you end up with fairly costly return trips. We do, as you were saying, have an out to Ice Rod Cave being isolated, but that only holds up for as long as we don't find Dark World access otherwise, right? Because then we have the mirror and we're comboing that with Catfish. And so we do need to think about how live our outs are going to be to getting back to Ice Rod Cave without the flute. I feel like if flute's in Ice Rod Cave here, we just get Giga punished for no reason. That said, unlikely.
Yeah, that is true. And what was this now? Oh, the bombs, yes. Yeah, we kind of short on bombs if we're going to be going to some other places. So it's a little bit of a time investment to get those, but at least now we have 4 bombs if we're going to need them later.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't have grabbed those myself. Just hope I get item drops. I'm going to kill a bunch of enemies in here. I might get bombs somewhere along the way anyway.
Yeah, so the room that we just did there is one where you'll usually see people do a key dash. They just get themselves flush with the bottom wall and then dash north through the room into the door. And that gives a pretty free key dash. Something I've noticed TDK is doing is turning into their dashes rather than dashing into their turns. And what I mean by that is once you start your dash, you have 30 frames to change your direction without changing your Y or X alignment. And so it can be really good to use that to stay quote unquote on the grid to give yourself those key dash setups without having to nudge against objects to normalize your pixel in the direction of motion. And so I would recommend for TDK practice dashing and then turning, because that's going to double the value of the frames that you're spending charging up your dash with the frames that you're using to do the actual input to get your direction turn. It's just a small thing, but once you start to own that and make it part of your movement on a regular basis, it just becomes second nature, and it'll save time everywhere.
Yeah, that is how you set up those key dashes consistently, and even when you're not doing a key dash, that's a great way to get in the habit of doing that. You press the A, hold the A, and then change your direction. That's useful in a lot of areas. If you're bonking off something or setting up key dashes, or just as you said, it's the most efficient way to be dashing. And you know, we got that lamp out of desert, which that was clearly what the book was actually for, because you know that's now our Hera and mountain access. I do like beating the green pendant there, because that's, you know, like a 2-for-1. You get the item on the boss and you get the item when you're going to go over here. You're going to check Saha's closet, so let's beat that green pendant. So I do like that decision.
Honestly, here I'm a little more inclined to, if I've pushed the logic this hard, to either go to mountain or go to just well, here we got our moon pearl at Sash, so that's a big thing to talk about. But I like pushing mountain there a little bit more. But we did get a pearl, and so we leveraged that green pendant. Didn't go into Eastern. I like that decision.
Same.
Now it's Castle Tower versus Mountain. And how hard do we want to push into bowless, hammerless pod? So I like Mountain here a lot.
Yeah, we can go beat a crystal, and we're just one item away from Dark World access. So let's go do that before we do Castle Tower. We do have the mirror. We can, when you save and quit from sync, you can mirror out, and it'll put you right at the front entrance, and you just press down and go out. I think that's faster than dashing, especially if you're going to get the heart refill from one of the 2 NPCs up there. I do that all the time. I'm actually not sure if it is faster, but it feels faster with the mirroring out of sync.
It saves a few frames, especially if you're taking the health refill and can mirror from the sprite rather than retraverse the stairs. But if you're not taking the health refill, dash turning down is basically a wash with the mirror.
Got it.
And we're getting a little dead rocked here.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, it happens. And now the dead rock's in an acceptable place, and we got our bow.
Wow. Okay, so you'd have the bow, and that's a pretty interesting set of items there, with the moon pearl on green pendant turn in and bow on old man turn in. Both things from Desert Palace. So I'll pick up the mountain. I like this. You're gonna go beat Hera. Hopefully we get the hammer at some point, but we're up here, or I don't know. Maybe just running back to Eastern, but that's a lot of saving, quitting, and back and forth. And then you're just kind of hoping the hammer is in Eastern, and then you're basically just going to come up here anyway. So might as well just go up here right now. If we could even get Mitt's Dark World access, so hammer could be really late. So
yeah, something that happened earlier that I think, again, we kind of glossed over a little bit. We're going to get Ether Tab here is good. Was that basically TDK saves and quits finding Glove in Smoldorm Cave, predicated on basically rushing Desert without having done the map check yet. And I can agree with following the logic, but then it seemed like there's maybe potential for some disappointment in that being green pendant and not actually a beatable crystal. It's worked out here pretty well, but getting that map check in, I like to do the map check with race game when I'm routing Kakariko the way that TDK has, just to have that information, and it's a nice sort of map buffer to decide whether I want to go get the race game item. And so having that map information before you start making decisions predicated on items about which dungeon to go to can help streamline some of that decision making.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, I tend to map check at some point between the 0 minute and 10 minute mark, yes, but when I'm doing escape or coming out of castle or somewhere in Kakariko, I don't really always want, the crystals to tell me where to go, but that's going to, make a decision for me. I don't know what the room is called. The Hera 2, the room with all those
beetles.
Those 3 beetles. Yeah, there's a really nice MG strat with that. So that's maybe a room we can look at for a little bit of an improvement with Master Sword or below.
Honestly, the NMG strat for that is, it is very nice. It's definitely not something I would recommend for runners starting out. just because even with doing the NMG strat, you're probably going to struggle to get it below 12 to 14 seconds.
Oh yeah.
Like it's a kind of tough strat. But what you can do with Master Sword or above is charge a spin at the start and let the two beetles from left and right converge on you. And that will let you kill both of those beetles and then just manage the last one. And so with Master Sword or above, it isn't much slower than the Fighter Sword strat. But what we see here on Moldorm is a poke, and a poke is bad. So with Master Sword, Moldorm takes damage the same way that Fighter Sword Moldorm does, because Master Sword's weird. And what we see here is we've hit Moldorm an effective 5 times because the spins upgrade and basically double count because they're tempered. And 3 tempered slashes will kill Moldorm. Basically, it'll deal effectively 2 per hit, whereas Fighter Sword and Master Sword will deal 1. And so 3 spins is definitely what you want to do for Master Sword to avoid that enrage. But gets through it.
Yeah, that was the second attempt too, and there was a poke on the first go through as well. Yeah, if I get a poke, I will try and get another poke to sort of set that back up at, an even number of hits, so I don't get that rage phase, because the enraged phase is pretty scary sometimes.
Yeah. So here, I'm assuming we have to go eastern. We went into desert. We got lamp. We took that lamp up the mountain, and we got exactly the bow. So I'm just following over here into eastern.
Yeah. And we do have a glove, so there is a faster way to get into eastern if you're not doing Saha first, and that is going all the way down to the right on the south side and then going up the stairs on the right.
Absolutely, yeah. Dash across the bottom screen, lift the rock, and go up the right side stairwell here with a glove, and having already done Sahasrara. In fact, if we hadn't done Sahasrara yet, which I think if I'm playing this seed, that's the way that I'm going to have routed it, is I'm doing Sahasrara after I do Eastern, because I think the way that I would have done it is get that glove, do Ice Rod, Cave, Water Walk to Hobo, and then probably go right up the mountain, get that bow, and assume that my my lamp or flute are just over in desert, and just go do Eastern. Now, I'd be last locating my Moon Pearl in this, but I would have been on the mountain a little bit sooner. But as we can see, it kind of works out as a bit of a wash.
Right, and that mirror was in Kakariko or something, right? So,
mirror was in Escape. It was back to Escape.
Oh, right. So yeah, you would have gone up there knowing or hoping you could beat Hera.
Knowing I could beat Hera because you have the Fire Rod.
And
you have Fire Rod Glove and Mirror, so
yeah,
100% you're beating Hera there. I don't like the extra mountain climb, but I also don't really want to go do Pendant Desert and don't really want to go dive Eastern. And then getting the bow would have then come over to do Crystal Eastern, which we've avoided the Eastern double dip, which is good.
Right. I do see some people in chat asking about, we have Aga 1, the Castle Tower climb on the table right now, and we have this Eastern Palace, which is, the light world version of, in the dark world, there's Pod. Would you have considered doing Aga just to combo Pod without the hammer and Eastern?
No.
Yeah, I don't think I would either in this scenario, because we're one item from Dark World Access, and that's going to be Midsect or Hammer. So yeah, I'm going to hope one of those is here and I don't have to do Aga.
Exactly, and without Hammer, I can't even finish Pod, so I'm not particularly excited about forcing myself into a double dip Pod. And so instead, here we're in Eastern, we got the hook shot. I'm saving quitting to Mountain and checking East Mountain, hoping for my other glove or my hammer.
Yeah, that is one thing we got here. It looks like that's item number 2, I believe, if I can keep in count.
I think that's correct. It's certainly at least item 2 by now. And given that we did the vanilla big key check, I'm going to assume there's an item on Armos. But yeah, I'm not doing Castle Tower here until I've done East Mountain. I'm doing Zora. I'm doing the Mushroom Turn-In. I'm just not rushing Aga here in Dark World -1.
Totally agree.
Do have Half Magic and Fire Rod, which can be really helpful for that climb, though.
Oh yeah, it'll be a nice, easy climb, but we just don't want to do it if we don't have to. Because we've checked Lumberjack, which is smart in casual boots, and we know that that is nothing. So really nice, Eastern Palace here so far. Yeah,
little bit of a hang up in the Zelda Gamer room. It's a tough room. Little hang up here. I think that room might honestly be called Post Zelda Gamer. Oh, we're going for a top right quick kill, and so far, a little off, but very good strat. Now we have one Armos Knight that has 2 in it. We're going to finish that one off. Good. Double readies. Thank you, Chex. See, Chex knows these things.
I have never heard it called that, but I'm glad I know it now. And then we get our item, we get our crystal. 2 crystals down. Now what do? We've got Mushroom Turn-In, we've got Ice Rod Cave, those are isolated. Zora, otherwise, the Zora area, there's things we can get there that are out of logic, and then we have the things on the mountain, which have just been opened up by that hook shot in Escape, I think. Excuse me, the hook shot in Eastern, and I like putting that hook shot to use here.
Yeah, 100% chase the hook shot here. You've got 8 items plus 1 scout against... I mean, there's 2 items in logic between Zora and Ice Rod Cave. Realistically,
and the mushroom.
And there's the mushroom is the one other branch. If I don't have mountain access here, if I don't have the hook shot, my next play would have been to turn the mushroom in via bonk fake flipper setup from Link's house.
Yeah, I might have thought about doing that before the mountain in case it's mitts, because the mountain with mitts is better. But that would sort of be a hope and a prayer. It's turning in the mushroom from a save and quit is always nice if you can do the magic powder, the fake powder trick, which is not that hard. But if it's something that's in your wheelhouse, you definitely want to be thinking about turning in the mushroom from a save and quit, just on the chance that you can save scum the mushroom and keep that in your inventory, and do a fake powder later when you find the cane. It doesn't always come up, but sometimes nice to take advantage of it, and we get absolutely nothing here.
Yeah, it's interesting. Seeing nothing here, that gets me a little more inclined to think that the hook shot is my West Dark World access, because it's doing that for us as well as giving us this East Mountain.
Yeah, and that is something that comes up a lot. It's something that trips up a lot of new runners if they haven't played before. Okay, we are going to check the floating island, because it's something not a lot of people think about. It's not really used in the vanilla game, except it is in the NMG route. But I think if you're playing like a first play casual playthrough and you don't know all the tricks, you're going to use that hammer from Pod and go down to dungeon number 2, which is Swamp Palace. And you kind of forget about that North Dark World post Aga route, and it is nothing. So do you rush Aga, or do you go and clean up your 3 other in logic checks?
At this point, I mean, I can see it either way, right? Like, if you're tracking along, just click Aga Dead, and you can see how much of the Dark World just lights up immediately. And with Mirror, it's not that bad to double up some of those checks. Like, we can mirror post Hype Cave and then go down and do this Light World loop in potentially a more consolidated way. But I don't blame anyone for just being thorough on the Light World stuff. And so it looks like TDK has chosen to be thorough here on Light World. Do Ice Rod Cave, probably Water Walk, and head up through Zora's domain. At this point, we have the rupees for Zora, which is good. I would say that I would have done Mushroom Turn-In first here. Just to get it out of the way. And if it is the Dark World access, we can potentially put this off to when we could consolidate it with Mirror, but it's not saving that much time to do that way. And I have no idea what we just got in Ice Rod Cave.
I did see that it was 10 arrows. It did kind of start. Did we set up the water walk? I kind of missed that, though.
I didn't catch much of the end of Ice. It looks like we must have a water walk set up.
Oh,
no, we've lost the water walk. All right, so the water walk set up from Ice Rod Cave, you just want to be within 8 pixels of the edge and dash downward out of the door. Is using a bomb to get this normalized fake flipper setup, which is nice.
Yeah, I will say TDK does seem to know a lot of stuff. You know, I didn't see where they had tried to set up the water walk, but knew that that was the place to go if you had set it up correctly. It just happened to not have happened, but did not have a backup in place, or the bootsless strat here. And we've got the Moon Pearl going to swim right out. So, you know, TDK does have a lot of game knowledge, which is good, and didn't get too flustered or anything like that. Just went right to the backup strat.
Yep, both boomerangs. We got a free blue, which is nice. We've
more than nice.
Yeah, we've skipped Hobo as well as the Scout on Hylia Island, so do need to be just aware that those exist. That Zora was out for blood. Here you want to stay off the land and the shallow water generally. The deep water you're going to move a little faster across, as opposed to being splashy.
Yeah, the way to get to Zora is if you just dash to the right from that highest ledge there, you will just be on a straight line, and you won't have to worry about crossing over any of the islands or bonking into a rock.
Yep, dash up and then dash turn and go to the right. But all we got was a shield there. We did get a blue potion, which is nice. And it looks like we might be headed for the mushroom turn-in via the conventional route, which I got so much crap for doing this this way the other week. And so I'm going to forgive TDK. Although this is not the way. This is absolutely not the way. But also using a bonk setup of the fake flipper from Link's house is much faster. You can just bonk against the little pillar there to normalize your X pixel with the screen transition. Use the water portal. But I think I would have been on Aga here, but don't blame anyone for being thorough on their light world. And yeah, we got all the shields.
All 3 shields. All right.
Yeah, so now we know that it is Castle Tower. So we have a lot of time to talk about what is Castle Tower going to do for us, and what do you do when you finish Castle Tower, DapperWormMan?
Yeah, the only thing we've left that we can get, even though it's out of logic, is Hobo, and we could see Hylia Island item, but I don't think it's bad to skip those and just go into Castle Tower here. So yeah, I can do Castle Tower, and there's an option to go into Hammerless Pod. The other option is to use that hook shot and go to East Dark World, where there's a lot of items.
West Dark World.
Excuse me, West Dark World. Go from west to east. I always get west and east confused. Don't mind me. I have, been burned by skipping pod, and I've been burned by going to pod. So it's kind of what you think is going to happen. I'm a little bit suspicious of that bow, considering it didn't actually unlock anything in Eastern. We just got the hook shot from a different area. So I might be tempted to do pod more than I would if I did not have a bow.
Yeah, the bow was one of the only things we got on the mountain. Although the lamp that opened mountain is also the lamp that opened Castle Tower. And so if we're tracking the depth of the items in terms of the logic, that bow, it's past the lamp, but it's not that much deeper than some of the other things that we have available. Learning the way through these rooms is good. Also, with half magic and fire rod can really cover a lot of sins, honestly. We can fire rod most of the things in this tower and have it go okay for us, especially with that extra blue potion.
Oh, for sure. And I don't cancel my dash there, and I'll do a spin on that guard, although that was pretty quick with 2 slashes.
Yeah, 3 slashes for these red guys. Double spin again because Master Sword's weird. Or a spin and then 2 slashes. Thanks, Master Sword. Yeah, Master Sword damage tables are awful.
Yeah, it's pretty messed up. Oh, nice room there. Having that boomerang out, really good.
Yeah, TDK indicating unfamiliarity with the power of the Fire Rod. Fire Rod is by far the best damage source that we have available to us right now, and it will be until we have Tempered Sword. There are very few things that Fire Rod and Half Magic is outdone by that isn't like Silver Arrows.
Mm-hmm. And, it takes a little bit of time for that little animation when the enemies are actually burning, but it's usually faster than running around and chasing them and shooting an arrow or slashing the sword. So
yeah, unless you have very specific strats for a lot of rooms, just fire rodding is going to work out faster than trying to sight read it. So we're on to Aga. We've had a few minutes to consider which way we're going to go. We're checking Pyramid, and then are you going into Pod to chase that bow? Or are you going across the river?
That is a good question. I will say, before we get to that a good idea usually in this Aga fight is to push Aga towards the middle of the room instead of farther away, because you're trying to minimize the amount of warp time. I mean, right there, Aga happened to warp to a spot that was very close to where he ended up. But especially like the fourth one, you want to push him all the way up to, towards the top, because you know that that's like a guarantee the 5th cycle he's going to go and shoot that lightning.
Absolutely. So I'm not going to Pod here, by the way.
All right. Well, I'm going to go to Pod.
Okay. Because you want to chase the bow.
Yeah.
And that's fair. I'm also not going to Pod because we don't have 110 rupees, by the way.
Oh yeah, that's
and I don't really want to mirror into trying to grab rupees.
Honestly, that's enough that I would just say I'm going to where there's a bunch of items on the left. We got a Fire Rod. There's Skull Woods. This is something where maybe an early map check might have helped. I might be more tempted to dip a Pendant Pod. No, we had that trip up to Hera where we did not get a map check.
Yeah, a little surprised we didn't get a map check. I'll sometimes skip that on this, but it looks like we're going to at least Catfish, and we could backtrack to Pod, but that seems inefficient, and I think we're priced into just going west to the density. And we do take another bottle. Oh, we're saving and quitting. Where are we going? I don't like this at all, by the way.
Yeah, this might be a decision to... Oh, I forgot I could go into Pod, and now we're going to Pod. So, it's not always bad to say, I'm doing the wrong thing, and I need to go do the thing that is the correct thing. But now we're not going up there. We're going up. We're going back up to the... Let me check myself. West Dark World. That being said, if you're at Catfish, doubling back to Pod is not necessarily good or bad. It's not like you're avoiding some huge area or you're in a pendant dungeon by accident or something like that. So yeah, the walking out of Catfish to this area would have been a little bit faster.
Yes, it just is much faster to just walk out from Catfish here.
That is something that I think a lot of runners struggle with is, oh, well, I made this decision in the heat of the moment and I'm going this way, so I have to continue going this way, even if it's quote unquote wrong. You know, no, this isn't really what's going on here, but if there's like a going into a pendant dungeon or something like that and just committing to it is not always the correct play, but we got a tempered sword. That's nice, and it looks like we're just going to continue on to the Skullwoods and Thievestown area, which is where there's a lot of items, so it's probably the right play.
Yeah, are you touching Skullwoods here? If it's a pendant, we still don't know what our pendants and crystals are, and I would love a map check.
Yeah, I wonder if we did get a map check and we just missed it. Maybe
I don't think so, but
the full VOD.
Yeah, maybe we did. But I really want to know what's going on over here in West Darkworld, because
yeah, we did get a cape too, which was not required for that Agra climb.
Mm-hmm. I'm tempted to. Oh, we're gonna fight the skull here, which is
everyone makes that mistake once and then never again. Right?
Not really the way we want to go, but that's okay. It's small time loss. We are gonna scout this and see a heart piece. And we're just gonna go places. I want to know if Skullwoods is a crystal, so I can take Tempered Sword, Fire Rod, Half Magic. Okay, it's a pendant skull, so I'm not touching it. And we have Ice and Thieves Red. And TR Pendant.
Yeah, I don't know. I already beat one pendant, and I do have the book, and I do have the Fire Rod, so I might be tempted to dip in there. Because even if you get to the back, you can do a quick pedestal check. However, it's very unlikely that the pedestal is going to be anything, in any given seed.
Yeah.
And then with Turtle Rock being a pendant, it's a little bit more unlikely. I would like to kind of sniff out that hammer before going into Thievestown, so I might think about Skullwoods. But checking all these things outside of Thievestown in Village of Outcasts before going in, I do like, full clear that, looking for that hammer before going into Thievestown.
Yeah, you're going to give yourself the 3 checks here to try and find hammer, but I think then you just want to do Thievestown regardless. Oh, we aren't even doing Sea House, so I want to do Sea House before this 100% of the time.
Yeah, I know that we ran all the way through the north to the chess game and did skip Sea House, so I would have liked to see Sea House for the checking for hammer.
Yeah, you just want to do as much stuff to mitigate the chances that you get shut out as much as possible. I see that chat knows my love for Sea House. I was practicing Sea House earlier today, I'll be honest.
Trying to get that muffin stash and it down?
Fired up the practice ROM, literally testing Sea House.
Yeah, Sea House, big point of contention. You see people dashing 6 times through there. That is not the way to do it. It is faster to walk 2 dashes up and down. And we did get a map, so if you see a map or a compass, you definitely are going to have to open up that big chest to get 4 items if the small key shows up.
Yeah, no small key yet, so it's mostly safe. It's tough here. There's a risk, but without the small key and with 2-item front, I'm fine with it. Like I like making the play here. If I'm going into Thieves, I'm just beating it and then living with whatever the consequence may be. My West Darkworld access, as you were pointing out, is pretty bad. And so getting back to this is bad. Getting back to Skullwoods is bad. I just want to be thorough if I can. And so I think after this, I'm probably doing Skullwoods with a mirror into ped check if I don't find anything here that's going to give me easy access back. But if I find my mitts or my hammer here in Thieves, then I'm probably putting off Skullwoods. A lot of rupees here.
That is a great point for why we want to consider going into Skullwoods. It's not really like a 50-50 or something like that. It's more like I don't want to last locate something here and run all the way back from Aga
Yeah.
So depending what we get here. Now we don't have that small key yet. Small key cannot be in the attic, but it can be in blind cell here in the basement. By the way, that was a really nice Hellway dash earlier. Yeah, equipped cape and we're on the God Pixel, so it was like doubly good.
Yeah, TDK clearly has seen enough and knows enough randomizer to have some strats in their pocket, which is good. I would say the fundamentals are still taking shape. There's definitely like some sloppy movement and some things that are just not quite fully formed yet. But like that's what the Mentor tournament's all about. We lost our 50-50 and that sucks, but we're living with it.
Yeah, but now we hope that Blind has the item. But we do know that Blind is in Logic. So it's kind of weird. You don't want you don't want the small key to show up because you don't have the hammer, but you want it to be in Logic because this is a 5/6 crystal. So we might use that information later. So it's always good to just kind of keep that in mind. Did I get the thing that puts the Blind in Logic or not?
Yes. Thieves Town being a 5/6 is very big for the logic here with respect to hammer. It unfortunately does free up like hammer and Pyramid Fairy if ice isn't also a 5/6.
Right.
Which thankfully ice is a 5/6 and is also hammerlock, so our hammer isn't in Pyramid today, which is great.
Yeah, at this point, since I need a few more items, I'm not really thinking about what is going to be in Pyramid Fairy. I'm just saying I'm going to beat the 5/6 crystal because I'm here. I don't care if I have the hammer or not. So this is good.
Two questions. Did we find a compass, or is compass in the big chest? And second, did we find 300 rupees in Thieves Town?
Yeah, that's more important. We did get a ton of money. I'm pretty sure I didn't see compass. So we might be good there.
Oh, we have a 2-C house. Let's go. We're getting a third? No. It's the 2-C house that you've never seen before. I love it. Thanks, TDK. And it looks like we are headed to Skull Woods. This is good. I like this because...
But this is the wrong way.
No, this is not the way to go there. But we're headed there.
Oh, I thought TDK was going to go up through the very bad diagonal walkway. Okay, this is not the fastest way to Skull Woods, but at least it is to Skull Woods. You can go up, the normal
right
way,
side, the NMG way.
Yeah. Especially because we were just in Sea House, and it's just a little, step to the right, and you go up there.
It's only after the jump to the left, though.
Right.
And we got a small key, so I'm going left side here.
Absolutely.
We do have Fire Rod, so thing about Skull Woods is if you find one item, Moth cannot be a small key or anything that leads to a small key. And so Moth is always going to either have an item, a dungeon item, or a big key leading directly to one or the other. And so as a result, Moth tends to be the most valuable location in the dungeon. So prioritizing getting to Moth and also getting that ped check can be pretty useful. We're going the non-bomb jump way. Shouts to this hook shot though. I love this hook shot.
Yeah, at least TDK knew how to get there. Like clearly they're not comfortable with the bomb jump, which is totally fine. But they know I know how to get to this place, and it's fast. I think it's just faster than running out and dropping down.
Yeah. And unfortunately, 0 item front, but we did what we had to. But re-innovating that hook shot in 2023, I love it. That was like my old 2017 strat for that room.
Yeah. So we got 2 keys and 0 items, as you said. So there's 2 chests left, and then there's Moth. So one's going to be a key.
Yep, Moth
one's going to be an item. And
Moth has an item, and then this is a 50-50 with Bridge.
Yeah. And we want to be pushing those statues. Never want to pull unless we have to, because pushing is about twice as fast, I think. Maybe 150% faster.
Especially if you use diagonals, I think it's at least twice as fast. But we mirrored out, and we're going back. So this is turned into a little bit of a yakety sax moment, but we'll make it through.
I will also say, if you don't have Fire Rod, the Boomerang is a great way to disable those mummies because they actually get stunned by the Boomerang. So I will usually do that if I get into some trouble, just to save magic a little bit.
Big shout outs to TDK there, though, because I think that was the minimum pixel for getting the button with the statue there. Nice. I think that was the optimal, like, 3 pixel gap. It's a little blurry for me, but clearly intentional.
All right, so we got those 2 keys. We got 1 item, so we know that other one is that other chest under the bridge is going to be a key. Let's see if TDK is aware of that, or if they're going to take note here for future seeds. We're just going to rush the boss. Nice.
Yeah, so that was a good Fire Snake RNG, and because you nudged the block in the middle of the corridor, you actually would have had a free key dash there. If you beat the Fire Snake there with the small key, you would get a free key dash and make it through that cleanly, which would have been good.
Yeah, I usually just go a little bit up and to the left when I enter that room and dash, and hope that the Fire Snake stays on the right side.
Yep, and we are not going to get our small key under the bridge, so we're gonna kill Moth, and I would say not optimal route, but definitely a route that avoided full choices that were actual mistakes, as opposed to just getting unlucky and betting against the odds.
Yeah, we could have got 2 items in the front, and that was a pretty nice Moth there. We could have got 2 items in the front and skipped Moth, but turns out we had to beat Moth to find out that the second item was also garbage.
All right.
Are you doing pet check here? Because we're right here and we have the items.
We have 2 pendants. We're here. Yeah, I'm slamming the mirror. Even though it's Turtle Rock and we don't have an Ice Rod or Samaria yet, or Hammer. Yeah, like we're so many items away from Ped that I can see skipping it, but I'm just knocking this out here. I'm just being thorough.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's actually 2 items that can be, at least, and it's a shovel. So that's awful.
Gross.
It's awful. Okay. Cool.
It's just gross.
But
we made the right check.
We have fully cleared out this area, so we're just going to continue on our south route now, which I think is correct. We say I'm going to go all the way to Bombo's tablet because I got this book for some reason, even though I got my lamp earlier. Yeah, just continue on. We've made our choice to skip Pod, so sucks we have to run out of Skullwoods here, but it's the choice we have to make because it's better than we should go out to the right there though.
Yeah, or to the right there even, if we're going back this way. So yeah, there's definitely some overworld routing that can be improved here. Just learning different paths between things. It takes time. And so starting out, I definitely understand just taking the path that I know works between locations. But this is honestly probably like a full 8 seconds slower than the other route from here to get down to this. But I assume we're going to do the dig game, K45, Stumpy, Bombo's tablet, Hype Cave in some order.
Yeah, we're gonna hope that something shows up, and one thing that could show up could be flippers. So I'm thinking, if I get flippers, what do I do? Do I go into Swamp? Do I not go into Swamp? I think without Hammer, you have to at least go into Swamp. It's the end of the route. I'm just kind of thinking, what are the possible things that could show up?
Hammerless, we're down there. I think you have to dive Swamp, even though you're hoping to just get shut out immediately.
Yeah, that's if flippers even show up here on this little loop.
Most of what you're wanting to do at this point is to just be thorough and risk having to do the enormous backtrack. And there's our Hammer. So That saves us some gross backtracking and fully opens up pod, which is nice.
Yeah, that's a kind of nice item to show up here. I do like. I will say I normally like doing the K45 there that we just did before Stumpy, because if the shovel shows up, you could do Stumpy and shovel together. We know where the shovel is there, so it doesn't matter. But I'm still just in the habit of doing K45 first, so that's that's a thumbs up for me.
Here I 100% am doing K45 first anyway, but yeah, it's with known shovel, it's a lot less important. I see everyone walk down here and then transition and then walk back up to get to the tablet. When you go through those pegs, you can just walk left, like just mirror and then walk left, unless you're trying to set up a quick warp. Like don't change your Y pixel. Everyone does it, and I don't understand why.
Yeah, and then I like to, when I get out of here, I dash above or in between the top two, because then I don't have to stop right there and then do another dash. And I just dash through both of those diagonal areas.
Yeah, like
but that's something I don't see anyone else do. I don't know why.
For a long time, I just assumed people were using the 1-in-1 diagonal movement to try and set up a quick warp and like greeting it, and just assuming that their down movement was a wash with like the 32 frames or whatever they were trying to save. And then I realized no one was actually going for the quick warp, and that everyone was just a disaster. And we can blame Chex for it. Chex came up with the strat. Why do you do this to all of us, Chex?
Do as I say, not as I do, right?
Nah, love Chex. Chex is fantastic and is just a top tier gamer. And we did find those flippers, so we're going into Swamp, right?
Oh, great. Yeah, we're here.
We got everything we need. We can just beat Swamp, just like we just got to do it, right?
Yeah, you got to do it. And then you can cycle in the Lake Hylia checks on your way to pod, which is a little bit more convenient than just going through the Dark World portal again.
So Lake Hylia checks on your way to pod. You mean you're going to hammer up Mirror into Hobo and then flipper down and like backtrack, or are you just leaving Hylia forever? How are we getting Hylia Island into this one?
After Swamp, I would go to Hylia from the southwest and near and just blind check it, and then go back to Dark World and run up to the spot or swim up to Dark World where Hobo is, and then near to Hobo, and then go right into pod.
Seems
that's
good.
That's if Mitts don't show up, because Mitts opens up Ice Palace for us, and then I have to think about that. So just while I'm in this dungeon, I'm thinking, what if this item shows up? What if this item shows up? What am I going to be doing? There's that cane. That's nice.
Is it though?
It's going to be nice if bits show up too, because then I can just go to pod or Ice Palace.
The trauma of that Shovel Scout is still very fresh.
Oh no, I'm just assuming it's pet now, and I'm just now full clearing left side Swamp doesn't feel as bad, because I'm like, it's just going to be the Ice Rod or something, and I'm just going to have to full clear. I've full cleared so much of this seed already. Yeah.
Go mode quality check here. We're missing Ice Rod, we're missing Flute, we're missing the Turtle Rock, or possible Turtle Rock, and definitely Meyer Medallion, potentially, if it's not Ether.
We don't need Ice Rod unless we need Shovel.
Yeah, exactly. Or whatever's on Trinex. So realistically, we are potentially Flute from Go mode, and Flute and Mitts from Go mode, rather. Which is a nice place to be.
Yeah, for some reason I thought we got Flute, but our mountain access was different, and we definitely do not have Flute.
Yeah.
This, you kind of have to, read each seed as it comes. There's sometimes when the full clearing is the right choice. Sometimes skipping things is the right choice. TDK has been very thorough here, and looks like we're going to skip left side Swamp for now.
Yeah, skipping left side, skipping big chest. We got item, which is a good start, and it looks like TDK also isn't a diver downer. I would recommend learning it, especially with Kane. Bomb strat is a little more finicky, but still very worth learning. But we're just doing old NMG swamp, which is cool. We'll call it Dunka Swamp.
Yeah, the diver down. It's very easy with the red cane as long as you can get the inputs on the D-pad. But I always recommend learning the bomb setup because you're almost always going to have bombs going to the swamp, but you're not always going to have the red cane. And they're very similar as far as the D-pad inputs. And we do get a compass here and an item, so
Yeah.
possibly, or there is going to be at least one item, or at least a big key leading to an item on left side swamp.
If there's one item on left side swamp, are you going back in for it?
Probably not, because I have a lot. I have another pendant, or excuse me, another crystal that's opened up. So if it's just one, no. If it's two, I might think about it. And now we have that hammer access to this area, so it's not like we have to run all the way around the Dark World just to get back into Swamp.
Yeah, agree 100%. Although we do need to be... I still don't remember. Did we find the compass in Thieves? Or, like, is there an item one in Thieves' Big Chest or not? Because that changes the calculus a little bit of, like, how much am I willing to last locate space X? But I think it's generally right to just skip one item left side here. Two item is kind of closer, especially in Go -2. Danny Music bailing me out, telling me there is an item in Thieves Town Big Chest. There is an isolated item there. Do we want to isolate a second item in a bad spot? I say yes, but I really don't want to isolate too much more otherwise.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Thieves Town, I'm just last locating anyway, because there's not really a world where I think my opponent, in my theoretical opponent, I know this is a ladder race, is I don't think my opponent had the hammer going into Thieves Town.
Yeah, hammer being behind the diode drop in West Dark World is pretty gross, because the only way around that to have hammer for Thieves is to have gone basically an entire extra loop around the world, or committed to doing that.
Or they skipped the Thieves Town boss, the back of Thieves Town, on the first trip.
Yeah, but like that...
And hope hammer showed up.
Yeah. I think I might have been the last person still doing that. And I've given it up almost a year ago. In two item situations. Like, I don't think anyone actually does that anymore.
Yeah, when you don't have the hammer or mitts, going into the back of Thieves Town makes a lot of sense, because there's that one item that is in logic in blind cell, and that could very easily be hammer or mitts.
Yeah, and so we see that the route that you had suggested post swamp is the route that TDK is taking, so this is good. And I assume we're just taking this up straight into pod, which is also good.
Oh yeah.
And all those rupees we got from Thieves Town, we have no rupee concerns. We can get hit while delivering Kiki actual 92 times, and so I think we're going to be okay. No. 112 times, 112 times, sorry. Pod does not cost 300 to open. It costs 100 to open. But yeah, we can take a lot of Kiki. It's like we're way set on rupees here. It's great. And we have Kiki.
Yeah, and I will say TDK is doing a good job of not dashing when you shouldn't dash. TDK is clearly aware of the four tile rule. If you're going to move more than 4 tiles, dashing is faster than walking. If you're going to move less than 4 tiles, tile is basically the width of your sprite, of the link sprite. So I haven't seen too many times when TDK's dashing at an inefficient manner.
Yeah, there were a few. There was one, like, into King's Tomb was pretty bad. There have been a few, but for the most part, most of it's pretty solid.
Okay, mitts and first chest of pod. Now I'm a little worried my opponent did have hammer first time into Thieves Town. But I've still been able to beat Swamp and all that, so not too bad.
Yeah, we've got Pod, we've got Ice Palace, and we've got East Death Mountain looking pretty good. We can now go into Turtle Rock, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
We've got West Dark World Myths checks. We've got Spike Cave and Dark Death Mountain hanging out. And we got Ice Palace. So I think for me, in general, most people are trying to avoid extra mountain climbs, right? But I'm also potentially looking for a reason to dodge going into TR. And so if I'm doing mountain, I'm not doing mountain before Crystal Ice, but if I'm doing mountain before cleaning up other things off the mountain, I'm doing it to avoid pricing myself into going into Turtle Rock. But if I'm going to go into Turtle Rock when I'm on the mountain, then I'm trying to minimize my climbs.
Okay, so we got, sorry to cut you off there, but we got both not key items. So both of these are going to be keys, because we got 2 keys on the right. We got our mitts and we got our compass. So going and checking these chests is not a good idea, because you're going to spend a key, get a key, you're going to get another key, and then spend it. So there's minimum of 4 keys in the front here. This is something I see a lot of people do, so I'm not like trying to be too upset about it. I've seen a lot of people do this. I not to call it my teammate. My teammate did it in our league playoff race last year. So, it happens to everybody. But paying attention to the keys and the non-key items in the front of pod is very important sometimes.
Yeah. So if you count 4 small keys in the front, everything else is potentially an item. But realistically, the important way is if you count 2 non-small keys, everything else is small keys. And especially the one, the big key chest, that one was a self-locking small key and should absolutely have been skipped. The one in the drop-down could kind of go either way. It depends on whether you're hammer yumping to save the key or not, and whether you want to avoid ever opening the front middle door. But there's a case for getting the drop-down key. But we have 5 small keys counted so far. So if there's a small key here in the basement, we know we need to check Harmless Hellway. And so Harmless Hellway, it might just be a map or compass, but we need to check it. If we only had 5 small key knowledge to this point, we could skip Harmless Hellway, knowing again it would be a key for key.
Yeah, and there could be all 6 up front. Very rare.
Yeah.
But there's always minimum of 4, and when we get the 2 items, it's not there. And then we have mirror, so yeah, we're just gonna go up here. I don't even know if it's hammer jump is gonna be faster. This is just really clean to go up here and mirror out. So it doesn't really matter. It's probably a matter of a second or something like that if one way is faster than the other.
Yeah, I mean, it depends how fast your hammer jump is, but definitely don't fault someone for this. I'll say one of my mentees last year, first race, 6 small key front of pod.
Wow.
And I was just like, what are we seeing right now? But yeah, we're going to Helma. We're gonna clear everything out. Probably do ice right after is what I would hope, just because prioritizing being in crystals is good.
Absolutely. And we're potentially just that one item flute away from being in go mode. So no reason to not do crystals first, I don't think.
Yeah, we treat this as go -1 until the seed tells us or forces us to realize that it isn't. And realistically, the way for that to happen would be Meyer Medallion being not Ether. But at this point, we've had Ether for a long while, and we haven't seen any other medallions show up. And so the later you get without seeing a medallion, the more likely it is that it's just kind of chilling in GT. And so we like to think of Ether as being 33% for Meyer, but it's notably better than that at this point because we've cleared so much non-GT stuff because of the way that the probabilities actually close out items. So it's a back to front fill algorithm. And so here we're using the boomerang because we don't have sword beams. and that's okay. And we're going into the turtle party here.
Turtle Party. Yeah, I saw TDK grabbed the 3 hearts before the Mimics room.
Mhm.
And, TDK's seems to be pretty good as far as execution. I don't know if they needed the 3 hearts did not get them up to full hearts, so
Yeah.
wasn't going to get them to sword beam level, but I know we're on at least blue mail, if not red by this point.
We're on red.
Oh, great.
Yeah, it's we have mirror though, so it's actually kind of okay. I only really hate red when I don't have mirror.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean TDK's pretty good with some boss fights and stuff. So I get that you want to be safe and not die, but
yeah,
no reason to honestly not be.
We had 11 hearts to spare. We had 11 hearts to spare. We picked up 4 hearts on the way, so I have a feeling that the buffer of 7 hearts that we had would have been sufficient because we weren't getting up to sword beams. But that's, small sort of in-room choices.
Yeah, I see a lot of people, on the save and quit, always getting the heart refill from the old man. It's, better safe than sorry a lot of the times. So, yeah. Okay, we're done with pod. Are we going to ice?
I think we have to go to ice here. We'll see what TDK thinks. TDK thinks being on the pyramid is swell.
Well, they,
and I'm not sure
what we all do is we forgot that we beat Evan here. And it's something that probably did yesterday. I don't remember if I did or not, but it's something that we all do.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I thought it might have been a deliberate choice just because we were outside of pod. We had the mirror, could have mirrored and taken Link's house, but it looks like we are headed to ice. So, and we're stopping at the potion shop. No, we're just mirroring here. Okay.
Mirroring here, yeah.
Not sure if there's value to the portal being there, but I don't think that it costs that much time.
Yeah, I think if we are in the dark world, actually, we can dash on that. There's that ice or that shallow water, so that's probably going to be a little bit faster. And we need Firebot here. We don't have Bombos. So obviously, if you know the icebreaker trick, we're going to be icebreakering through the right side here. We'll see if TDK knows that or does the old-fashioned IPBJ, the Ice Palace Bomb Jump. I will say, if no matter what level you are, being fresh on your Ice Palace Bomb Jump is definitely a thing because you don't always have the red cane coming here into Ice Palace.
Yeah, Ice Palace routing takes a long time to get a handle on, and just being able to do it adaptively. But Icebreaker as a default helps a lot. But it's not always there, so. And it looks like we're going right without the big key. So this is...
We're missing some items, so...
this is pretty greedy. Not hitting the switch.
Yeah, this is going to be the way to do it if you have, if you're planning on full clearing anyway, I think. Okay, getting a little pause buffer there. Oh, there's that one frame. Nice job. A lot of people will tell you to hit the switch every time, which I think is very, especially with getting the small key. Yeah, I think hitting the switch is probably the best idea there because then you can do iced tea before you do you can do all the checks basically before you get to the big key chest or the big chest, which requires the big key.
Yeah, I would recommend hitting the switch there every time.
Yeah, with not getting a small key, it's a little more of a choice, I think, right? And we do get that.
We got the big key, so we're a little bailed out here.
Yeah.
But I don't, and then we should have gone north there to do iced tea, assuming that we're committed to full clearing.
Yeah, because we've gotten 0 items so far. Yeah. So we want to get all 3 items before we leave here, because we're looking for that flute and possibly medallion.
Yeah. And we're going to bomb instead of hook clip, which is fine. It's
Yeah.
not that much worse. But like these things do add up. And so TDK was basically saying, I felt like I played pretty well, and ladder race still didn't quite go my way, and wasn't exactly sure how I lost by X amount of time. And like, I'm not trying to harp on too much of the micro, instead focusing on the macro, because that's really where TDK was emphasizing want for help in this one. But like the micro choices do add up a lot, and I mean 3, 4, 5 minutes execution, I mean, like you're not always saving that in routing.
Yeah, since we didn't hit the switch, we got to go the fast way to iced tea, so that might have been a reason they routed that way. And I'm actually not sure, going back from iced tea, if it's faster to go this way or to go back through there with the hook shot, go back through that.
Since we've already done this, since we've already done these checks, it's better to just go back.
Yeah, that's the way I usually go from iced tea. Is I'll backtrack through the rooms that are already on that level instead of going back upstairs and then downstairs. But TDK obviously knows that when you have the big key and you have the cane, you can do it this way. Got to hit the switch with that cane there.
Yeah, and I think everyone kind of does Ice Palace their own way, in a sense.
That is true.
Nice optimal statue pull there. I think that was just 1 pixel of blue between the lines there. It might have been 2, again, a little blurry, but these statue pulls are end up pretty close to optimal, which is great. And we got half magic, and we have red mail and fire rod and tempered sword, so we're just gonna beat up on cold stare. All right, so it wasn't here. Are we? Yeah. Where are we going?
Well, we just got Pyramid Fairy opened. We do have the mountain, which includes 6 checks, and then you can go into Turtle Rock and get everything except the boss. I think I'm just going to chase density and go back up the mountain. TDK now remembering, since they learned their lesson about saving quitting from the dark world.
Yeah, I don't hate the mountain here. I kind of want to push Pyramid Fairy first, because when else am I going to do it? But I don't, like, I just don't want to go into Turtle Rock if I don't have to without the Ice Rod.
That's very fair. So are we doing Pyramid Fairy, or are we doing reverse Smith Chain?
This looks like Pyramid Fairy to me. I'm hoping it's Pyramid Fairy.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is just basically a choice, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the mitts in pod scare me a little bit if my opponent got them first, but you just kind of have to stick to the guns of how you routed the seed,
Yeah, I entertain that someone could have gone into pod there, but they're doing it without the hammer, so they're double dipping if they're losing some overworld time. I'm losing some time to not having the mitts. It doesn't feel great. Does remember we have Agadet. It's been pretty important to remember that this seed. Going to get a little bit of a faster route for this bomb turn in, which is nice. And then from here, as soon as I open that second chest, anything but flute, I am just saving quitting to mountain here.
Oh, I got a mirror first, but yeah, that's a pretty good idea.
Oh yeah, sorry. This is the got a mirror first part, yeah. But we didn't want to move. Oh, we moved down a good amount, I guess. I thought we were going to bonk that, but we can just do it from the door there. without moving down. But yeah, we're on the mountain. We're where we want to be.
The first frame that you come out of, you don't even have to move out of Pyramid Fair. You can just mirror right there.
Yep.
I believe Ice is the same way. You can. I know that they moved before mirroring after Ice Palace.
Yeah, basically all the dungeon entrances, with the exception of like some of Skullwoods is like a multi-entrance dungeon, but all the dungeon entrances you get kicked out of after beating the boss. It looked like we were going to Spike Cave, but now we're going to not Spike Cave, which is good. But yeah, all the dungeon entrances you get kicked out of, you can mirror. All the Dark World ones, you can mirror immediately. And I think all of them actually set you up for a free quick warp as well. Although I haven't confirmed that myself.
Even if it's not, it's
it's quicker than walking. Yeah.
So yeah, Skullwoods was one that you mentioned that you can do that. I noticed TDK did move out of Skullwoods before checking the pedestal. So yeah, good point there, Maniacal.
Oh, Swamp is not a free quick warp. That's correct, Malmo. That's a little bit to the right. I don't know why Swamp sucks so much, but it does.
Oh, Swamp just continues to
Swamp. More reasons why we don't like Swamp. All right.
Okay, so TDK saying that they were going to go into Spike Cave. So.
Okay, I don't like the decision to, once you start going to Spike Cave, to bail on it. Like, there's a reason you made the call you made, and in general, continue to make your calls. Like, be decisive. And there's our flute, so I am doing Spike Cave and bailing.
Oh, I wouldn't even do Spike Cave because I might be in go mode there.
Oh yeah, never mind. Yeah, I'm fine. Saving and quitting. Yeah, check this. Mirror, save and quit. Yeah, check medallion. That's fine.
Oh yeah, checking the medallion is a good idea because then you know whether or not.
Yeah, you don't want to have to reclimb.
Right. Okay, if it's Ether, we're in go mode. Ether on the Misery Mire medallion to open. I like getting the heart refill there before we go into Misery Mire, so we can use the sword beams in Mire 2.
Yeah, Mire 2 sword beams, pretty big. A little bit of some interesting dash lines here. Could save a couple seconds. But, get over here, activate your flute. As a note, if you quick swap off of the flute and then back to the flute, you can use the flute sooner post cutscene.
Yeah, let's see if TDK knows
so
that.
We'll see if TDK uses that. No, it looks like we're just mashing Y. That's fine. Save a little bit of time there. And we're not setting up Spooky, at least not the quote-unquote new way, which has been the way since like 2 days after it was discovered in 2018.
Oh, I was going to say there's a new way. I've only known that way.
That is the new way. For a while, it was the non-flute way that you see used in entrance sometimes.
Oh, in the room. I got it.
Yeah, like throwing the block into the pit was how you would set the altitude variable. And I remember my favorite speedrunning phrase, almost of all time, being something that came about in 2018 under legitimate use, which is the duck sets the variable now. Which is a legitimate thing that we have said about speed games now, is the duck sets the variable. And that's the strat. That the duck sets the variable, which is completely transparent and also factually what happens.
Yeah, so maybe TDK doesn't know how to do spooky, so they're not worried about setting up. So that's something, learning spooky saves, it's at least 10, if not 15 seconds. And the way to set that up, I mean, if you do it correctly and quickly in the basement there, it doesn't actually cost anything to set it up. You just move to the bottom of that rock before you pick it up. And you have to wait for your iframes to go away anyway, so you're not going to lose any time on the warping. And then chat pointing out, TDK did check the mire shed as well before knowing what the medallion was. Probably checking for silvers or maybe a medallion, but I think I would have just gone right to the... I wouldn't have even checked. I would have just gone to it and just assumed it was going to be ether. And when it wasn't, I would turn around. One small key, one compass in the front here.
Okay. So Mire key logic recently changed. And,
oh boy.
Yeah, they changed some things about left side Mire, and I honestly don't remember all of them. It's still, if there's a small key in this top chest, then the big key must be vanilla. But there are some implications for item and small key placement that aren't going to be relevant to this particular seed. Here, have the compass. I would have gone out through the right side of that room and probably skipped cutscene for now. But it's defensible to just do this while you're over here.
Yeah, we don't really have a lot of information because we only got one small key. And I guess it wasn't a compass in Spike Chest. It must have been something else. And I will have to update myself about the new Mire key logic. But yeah, this we don't have that in this seed. But as long as you know that if that first Firelock chest is a small key, then this must be a big key. Then you are well on your way to knowing just about as much as everybody else knows.
Yeah, that's 95% of it. And then the rest is about narrowing down once you start finding small keys where the items must be. But I think that is what got changed. But yeah, we found an item, not a big key. Piece of heart, that's fine. I think he gave us a health refill. And we are going to hammer dash here. And there's the big key. Unfortunate that the fire snake's up top. We just got bad RNG. So yeah, not going for the rail clip. I like that because the fire snake can bully.
Yeah, that's a pretty neat trick if you can do it. Otherwise, just dashing down like everyone else does is totally fine. Yeah, it's not a free trick, so it can be pretty costly if you end up spending too much time on it.
Yeah, the way you want to do it is you want to be flush with the rail, do a 1 frame up buffer, or like an upward sword buffer, so that you move 2 pixels up, and then press left and A on the same frame to dash turn down. And that will clip you through the rail. But it's a lot of things to put together in a fairly short amount of time when you have that fire snake up there. So I typically only go for it when the fire snake gives me downward RNG or when I'm feeling particularly spicy.
Same.
And I'm probably not feeling very spicy right now. TDK has been playing pretty conservatively. Hasn't been all that spicy with this one. We did get away with the left side swamp skip as well as the Thievestown big chest skip. So that feels kind of nice. Never did Smith Chain. Never did Spike Cave. And we're getting Cape out. So here, I'm guessing we're seeing left to right dash strats. Oh, no, we're seeing slash strats. You want to be sure if you're doing slash strats, you get that left eyeball in there. Otherwise, you're going to split them in a bad way. Unless we're going for the kill the middle eye special here, which I don't advise. There's one person in chat who advises it, but Tracy's wrong. So, sorry, Tracy. It's nifty, but don't do it.
We definitely should be using our bow to shoot 8 arrows right here, though.
Yes. Also, we have 14 extra hearts or 13 extra hearts. And could have also, deboosted the goo a little, done some spins. use the walls to our advantage, but just get through the fight, don't die. Not dying is the first way to go fast. So
yeah, that's the first rule of Rando. Stop. Well, maybe stop stopping is the first rule, and then stop dying.
Yeah,
is
and
number 2.
TDK has done pretty good since the early part of the seed. It was weird. Early in the seed, there were a lot of like leave from a door, stop for about 20 frames, and then start doing the room. But that has sort of gone away as the seed has progressed.
Yeah, and of course this is a ladder race, so maybe they're interacting with chat or something like that. But sometimes you gotta do 2 things at once, like execute and think about what dungeon you're gonna go to. So yeah, we're opening up the Dark World portal here, which is correct because we have not opened up the Turtle Rock portal. So it's faster to go through the Dark World here.
Yep, we have hookshot and mirror, so we can do a nice block clip, block delete strat here, or we can just delete both the blocks and get through pretty quickly. But with hindsight here, I mean, we discussed kind of how we would have routed it as we went through, but I don't think there's anything that TDK did necessarily that I think I would have really avoided. There was some sequencing changes and some things I would have done maybe in a different order. But overall, with the Flute Go mode being on Dark Death Mountain, I get him in pod late, didn't go to pod early, did ice, that was right. Go up the mountain, that was density. Mostly makes a good bit of sense. Avoided doing some trap checks, and I liked the pyramid check when it was. So
yeah, at that point, pyramid was 2 items relatively quickly, as opposed to like 3 items on Smith Chain that are pretty slow. There was maybe a little bit more over clearing in the light world for your taste, but certainly wouldn't fault anyone for doing that when you're 1 item from Dark World access.
Yeah. So here we see a hope left strat, even with a small key, and so I'll say that this is a bad GT strat. If you're going hope and you get a small key, a big part of the reason you go hope is that you can get those 4 compass room chests if you get the small key, and that ends up giving you the least path length to all of the checks, and therefore the shortest expected time to big key. It works out here to do hope into Stalfos, but if you're going to bail on hope, even if there's a small key, you probably just want to do a Stalfos open, which pains me to say because I think Stalfos open's pretty rough. But if you're going to bail on hope room like that, probably just start with Stalfos.
Yeah, I've seen a few people do hope left, even if they do get a small key. But I think if you're doing hope, you're hoping for the small key and then getting those compass checks out of the way.
Yeah, I mean, if you're bailing on hope left with a small key, you're basically making it a worse route than Stalfos starts.
Mm-hmm.
And Stalfos starts are going to be faster to 10 check. So you're really giving up the advantage of hope open. That said, I don't know how comfortable TDK feels with the rooms on the way to Compass Room, but I would say, make choices of strats cognizant of where you are comfort-wise. But I would encourage a Stalfos open if going to Compass is a scary choice here.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's 1 out of 22, but you want to maximize the efficiency of your route there.
Yeah, good Gauntlet 1. Dashing at the blue Zazzix and the red Stalfos is a little bit better, but in general, the enemies were addressed in the right order. Same with red Stalfos.
Yeah, these gauntlet rooms looking pretty good. Oh, this Zizak's getting a little way. The first few rooms, or the mimic rooms, were a little rough, so that might be a area to improve on. Those rooms can get away from anybody though, if you're not super precise. We're gonna see how Landmo 2 here goes. We've got a fire rod. Gonna do some tempered spin to start. And now TDK remembers they've got that fire rod. The gauntlet is, it's the hardest rooms in the game, back to back to back for a reason. So,
yeah, it's non-trivial.
I don't run a lot of NMG and I don't practice NMG, but I know a lot of people practice these rooms a lot when they're trying to cut down time on their NMG route.
So I said I was practicing C-House. The other thing I was doing was spreadsheeting NMG splits. And I saw just how much time I'm still losing on my GT split. And I've never practiced GT in my life, and so it shows. It was I see PH in the chat. I put PH's I think a 128.35 in a spreadsheet against my most recent run, and it's sobering. It's sobering to see just how much time you lose across all these things and how it adds up. But that's why we practice and why we just continue to work on execution things. Because you can control your execution, right? You can't control whether the route works out. You can control making sound routing decisions, but in general, you need to have solid routing as well as solid play.
Yeah, and being solid and good at execution, or above good, being great at execution allows you to do more checks quicker than whoever you're playing, or just in general, just get through the seed faster if that's your goal. So,
yeah.
I've never seen anyone with 5 GT smalls ever. So that's kind of funny to see all those small keys show up in those chests. But
I think Solsky climbed with 6 at one point when we were doing a co-op, but yeah, it's pretty uncommon. The 5 small keys is really something.
There must be something really nice in map chest in GT, but we're never going to see that. So yeah, opening up for silvers, I think checking for silvers is not a terrible thing. It would save you time. You'd feel bad if you lose to somebody who found silvers and you didn't, I guess. But most people with temper would not. But I think until you're super comfortable with your temper sword, opening all those checks on the climb are totally worth it.
Yeah, I would say unless you're very confident in at least fire rod bottom triples for torch glitch for silverless, like if you're just doing doubles on Ganon, checking everything for silvers on the way up is the way to go. Like, I think that's kind of a good skill heuristic, is if you get to the point where with silverless Ganon you're feeling good about your triples, then maybe consider doing some skips. Yeah, this is pretty clean overall. There's a bunch of little execution things. There was some macro stuff. One thing that I noticed there on Moldorm was pausing to swap to hookshot rather than using quick swap at all. There have been a lot of instances of pausing to menu, and sometimes that can be good. But in general, just starting your quick swapping and menuing aggressively to whatever you need to be at, and trying to think about what you need to be at next is good practice. And so we did get into phase 2. We should just be hanging out in that top right corner and spinning. This is actually a really great position for phase 2, but I think we should still get the 1 cycle here. Although once you have that done, you want to grab a wall, because that will stop the magic drain. We do still have that blue potion, I believe, so I think the plan here is to just refill.
Yeah, that's a nice little trick when you do have that cape. If you're grabbing onto something, it won't drain the magic. A wall or a torch.
Yep, good
specifically.
old 2018 tech, I think. Good old Rando boomer, remembering when these things all came about. Setting up for torch glitch, baiting the bat away, and yeah. So in general, you want to try and be on top of that bottom left torch, basically when that top left tile falls. And now if we're doing double lamp lighting, we're not going to get more than one spin. It's very tough to get even doubles here in this way. So like the torch is probably going to go out. Yeah.
Oh yeah. The Ganon was on that lower left area, but you still got to try and find a way to get over there to get that.
Yeah, Fire Rod here. Even lamp and hard menu into Fire Rod would be favored to let you get those doubles.
Yeah, so we're just going to be getting singles here. Looks like that one got it.
Yeah, so we're basically setting ourselves up for a minimum 12 cycle silverless, which is just, it's a lot. Did we? I think we just got a lamp double. We just got the double. It's pretty tight, but it is doable. So nice TDK.
Oh, just a little bit early there.
This is nice and deliberate though,
good.
Which is good.
Yeah, we lit that torch right as Ganon was landing on the top there. I don't think we got that double though.
No, it's really tight to get the torch lit and then to also charge the spin. Just using the fire rod here would be definitely advisable, especially if you have any sort of safeties.
I get not wanting to run out of magic since I think we've used our last blue.
Yeah, I would say with half magic, maybe once you're a little below half a bar, then start to think about conserving and switching back to lamp. But you can see how this really just, it makes it tough. It's not that TDK is doing anything wrong. It's just, it's a very tight cycle to get these doubles. Could be lighting the lamp at slightly different places in Ganon's cycle. I think once he starts to teleport is when you want to light the second one, which means you want to be lighting the first one and heading across a little before then. And also you don't want to be right flush with the torch because the lamp, I think, works from 11 pixels away on the left side and 12 pixels away on the right side. And so you could save yourself almost a tile and a half of walking. So almost a full 15, 16 frames. But it gets through the fight.
Nice. Doesn't take a fall, doesn't take a death. So persevered, and GG's to TDK.
Yeah, GG to TDK. Lumaga, our restreamer, did mention cutting to sort of the card. I told Lumaga that I needed to know the collection rate. So we'll see. I think Lumaga is going to get that for us. But I think we are going to
So
cut here.
You know, I think we talked a little bit about routing and stuff like that. I could see losing a lot of time to someone who got mitts and flute earlier because it's a little faster, but they're still going to have to sniff out that hammer and stuff. So I think, we talked about a little bit about rooms or like efficiently running it through the overworld, things like that. Obviously the Ganon fight drained a lot of time, but there was it was kind of a tough seed there was a lot of decision points.
Absolutely. It was a tough one. Managed to make some calculated skips. I'm seeing CR was 160, and so it's a little above average for casual boots. But I think overall, it was a pretty efficient clear. Got most of the... So we didn't find ourselves having to go back for isolated singleton checks all that often that couldn't be sort of bootstrapped into other stuff, which was generally the right philosophy. Like, that's generally where you want to be.
Yeah, maybe doing Sora checks after ag or something like that, but
Yeah,
that would have been a little bit awkward with where the flippers were, so
it could have been a little more aggressive about the Aga play, but I get putting it off. There were some ways to route between things, especially the Skull Woods area, where, like, we could have saved 30 seconds on Overworld in how we navigated the screens between Village of Outcasts and Skullwoods. And I don't honestly think that I'm being all overly pessimistic about that. I think it was legitimately close to 30 seconds in just choices about how to move around the screens. So I would recommend TDK, watch some other people and pay attention, key in on how they're doing those regions of the map. Because I think there's some pretty common screen routes there that would shave just chunks of time every time you have to do them.
Yeah, and something that has helped me is watching people who are better than me, watching the top tier runners and say, why are they doing that screen different than the way I do it? And then, looks like their way is faster, so, or why are they doing that room, or why are they, being on this item for this boss or some other strat. So yeah, the Skullwoods obviously jumps out, but there was a few other overworld areas as well and stuff. But overall, TDK seems to know where to dash in general. So just a few areas and that they can work on and things like that.
Yeah, and I know you were saying as a heuristic, if it's more than 4 tiles, you can dash. I would throw out realistically 6 tiles, because 4, yes, it's your break-even point, but most people aren't going to be perfectly optimal, and they're going to be closer to optimal with their walking than they are with their dashing. And so I think, especially starting out, if you really say, okay, is it 6 or more tiles? Like, am I going over half the screen length vertically? That can be a good heuristic for whether or not you're quote-unquote allowed to dash and can expect it to save you time. Because one of the things people do, especially in boots mode starting out, is really dash in places they shouldn't. And TDK didn't do too much of that, but there definitely was a little bit of that. And especially if you're trying to optimize your movement, it can be tempting to try and squeeze some extra dashes in. And in general, it's going to not work out in your favor. Otherwise, I don't think there's too much else that I wanted to share about this one. I appreciate the opportunity, though, to chat about this. So thank you to TDK for putting their work out here on display and being humble and brave enough to submit a seed in this space. It can be hard to basically sign up to have yourself critiqued live in front of an audience for a couple hours, and I appreciate the opportunity to have been able to help provide some of the advice and feedback in that space.
Yeah, big shout outs to TDK. Thank you for submitting that, and thank you for being eager and here for the Mentor Tournament 2023. I'm looking forward to seeing TDK learn some new stuff and possibly go pretty far, and there's going to be a lot of good competition, I think. So thank you, Maniacal, for joining me on this as well.
Yeah,
if you have anything else to say, that is it for me, but thanks everyone for hanging out.
No, just big thanks, DapperWormMan, for letting me join you. And again, to Lumago for the restream, Go Mode Podcast for putting together this mentor tournament. And I'm looking forward to seeing what everyone shares throughout the week on this. So we do have more of these. This Boots Camp is going to be live every day this week. This was our late night installation, but tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern, Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern, and then Friday at 10 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, we're going to have 4 more streams with VOD reviews, different pairs of commentators reviewing different mentee VODs. I'm really looking forward to it. It's a great week of content, and then the Mentor Tournament will be starting thereafter. So looking forward to it. Thank y'all, and I think with that we'll wrap it up for the night and let Lumaga go get some sleep.